What's up everyone? My name is Jamie Pacheco and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Jamie and Naomi Vlogs. In today's video, I'm going to talk about becoming a new dad and what to expect. There's a lot of things that I wish I learned along the way. I wish there was a handbook that was given to me, but there wasn't. So I had to figure it out on my own. I know it's only been 2 months, but I feel like in the last 2 months I've learned quite a bit. I want to share my experiences with you today, and especially with the new dads out there. Hopefully they'll get something out of this. So for all you new moms out there or moms to be, I highly recommend you watch this with your partner because this could give you some insight into what they're thinking about or what they potentially could be thinking about. Just having a better understanding of what your partner could be going through. I think it'd be a good thing for you to sit down and watch with them. So before I dive into it, the first thing I want to say, come right out and say it, is that all you moms to be or all you moms out there, you guys are absolutely incredible. It's a miracle that you guys deliver babies. I am just blown away at the whole process and what you guys have to go through. So I have complete respect for all the women out there that go through this. It's exciting. It's everything. You guys are just amazing, amazing. But men go through some things too. And today I'm going to talk about some of those things. Just kind of have an open conversation and just be real and just talk it out and just kind of explain some of the things that men go through that often sometimes get ignored. All right, so let's start from the beginning and take it from the top. She's pregnant, yay! Whether it was planned or whether it wasn't planned, doesn't matter. In our situation, it was planned, so it was exciting. I still remember it like it was yesterday when she went into the bathroom to take the test. And we had known prior, because the symptoms were all there, that she could potentially be pregnant. But when she went in that bathroom, there's that moment of, okay, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen this time? And she came out of the bathroom and she was very emotional, and I was just so excited because we knew that our new journey, our new life was starting now. Now I want to share something with you guys. The moment I found out she was pregnant, what was going on through my head? And that was, am I ready to do this? Am I ready to be a dad? Of course, I was extremely happy that she was pregnant. We've been planning it, and this is what we wanted. But the moment that I found out she was actually pregnant, it was a little bit scary. Those feelings of being scared that you're about to become a dad, those are perfectly normal. It's okay to have those feelings, and it's okay to share those feelings with your partner. So one of the things I've learned throughout this process of being a dad, especially in the beginning, is it's hard to be a part of the process, because we're not the ones that are pregnant. Our partners are pregnant. So for us, we want to be a part of that process, and there's things that you can do that can help. And one of the things that I would suggest is just being supportive. There's a lot of little things that I used to do when my wife was pregnant. For example, whenever we would do the ultrasound, during COVID, it was hard because I couldn't actually go into the appointments. So what I would do is I would drive her to the appointment because I still wanted to be with her. I still wanted to show that support. So I would drive her to the appointment. I would sit outside in the car while she went inside to make it seem like I was still there, but yet I couldn't go in. So she would FaceTime me as she was doing the ultrasound. Doing the little things like that really showed support. I know my wife loved it that I went with her to her appointments. So I highly recommend you go to all the ultrasounds, as many as that you can possibly make. I know things happen, but if you can make all of them, it's a great bonding experience because you get to be with your wife, at least over FaceTime. You get to see the development of the baby from the beginning all the way up through the second, third trimester. Doing the little things for your partner is so important. It's very important because it shows that you're supporting her. Doing the little things such as making sure that she has food. Always have food. That's very, very important. My wife used to like to snack during pregnancy, so I wanted to make sure that those snacks were readily available for whenever she wanted to eat. Look, there are a lot of things that are going to happen during a pregnancy, so you really need to be supportive of your partner. There are things like doing dishes, cleaning laundry, cooking food, all those little things that need to get done. If you can step up as a man and do those things and help out your partner, I'm telling you, she's going to appreciate it. As new dads, we will never understand what it's like to deliver a baby. We just won't. We're not carrying that baby around for 9 months. We don't know the pain and the struggles that they're having with the baby. I'm not saying they have those struggles throughout the entire 9 months, but they're going to go through different changes. Their bodies are going to go through different changes. And so being supportive and being there for them and doing those little things are going to go a long way. Now let's fast forward a little bit. It's getting closer to the due date. You're not mentally there, but you're mentally there. You're kind of going through all these emotions and you really don't know what you're doing. So one of the things that I would suggest that you do is take some newborn classes. Now there's a lot of newborn classes that are out there, and you really just need to do your research on the best class that fits you. Taking a newborn class on what to expect really helped me just kind of get ready for that moment of when our baby was going to be born. For example, I didn't know anything about being 5 centimeters dilated or 7 centimeters dilated. I didn't know anything about that. You know, you learn all that in some of those classes. So now let's fast forward a little bit further. The due date is here. What are some of the things that you can do to be prepared for the due date? And one suggestion that I would make for all those dads out there is to make sure that you have the bags packed. Having our bags packed early was huge for us because we ended up having our baby early. Now, I'm not saying every scenario or every situation is going to be like that, but I would say it would be key to be proactive to have the bags packed early just in case in that scenario something like that does happen. So let's talk about some of the things that are important to pack in your bags. You must have snacks. You gotta have snacks. You've gotta have your phone chargers. You gotta have clothes. You gotta make sure you have toothbrush, toothpaste. We went the extra mile and we brought my favorite pillow and her favorite pillow. I made sure that I packed blankets. Make sure you bring your laptop. Some of these things were important for us and were very helpful for when we're in the hospital because you're gonna stay there for a couple days. So it's nice to make sure that you have a bag that's packed full of all the necessities that you would use while you're in the hospital. Oh, one other thing that's important before I forget, make sure you bring cash or at least bring a credit card. They're gonna feed your partner, they're not gonna feed the dads. So it's your job to make sure that you go out and get food or have food delivered. Now, she'll get served meals, and my wife didn't really want the meals from the hospital, so we were able to use some of those delivery services, so that was awesome. So now you're at the hospital with your partner, and one thing I'd suggest is just trying to figure out the lay of the land. And actually I suggest you do that beforehand, before you go into the hospital. That way at least you don't spend the time of trying to figure out where you need to go, where you need to be. For our situation, it was different because we actually went in for a test, a routine test, and it turned out the doctor wanted us to stay for the next 48 hours. And within that next 48 hours, she said the very next day that she wanted us to go ahead and start the induction process and she wanted to induce Naomi. It was exciting. It wasn't the experience that I thought it was going to be. There wasn't that rush that I thought she was going to be in labor. I was gonna have to rush her to the hospital. I was thinking about driving super fast on the freeway. If there's gonna be traffic, am I gonna have to get on the shoulder and drive on the shoulder? But it wasn't that way for us. Every situation is gonna be different. They're not all the same. So now the momentum's building, the baby's almost here. It's really important to understand your partner and understand, is she the type of person that's gonna want you by her side, want you coaching her, or is she gonna want you to give her a little bit of space? And if you don't know what your partner wants in that moment, just ask her, how can I be there for you in this moment? I'm sure she'll really appreciate it. All right, now the baby's coming. So men, you do have some decisions you need to make. And one of those decisions is, do you want to see everything that's going to happen, or do you want to stay behind the scenes? In my scenario, I chose to see everything. And I wanted to see everything just because it was a miracle. I wanted to see the whole entire process. It was amazing to me to see the birth of my daughter. Not everybody feels the same. I've talked to many different people that, they don't want to see anything because, let's face it, sometimes there are certain men that might get scarred for life if they see what's going on down there. That's completely understandable. I would just say know yourself, because in that scenario, it can be either a very beautiful experience, or it can be an experience that you might regret if you don't like the sight of seeing blood or seeing all that action that's going on down there. Another decision you'll have to make is whether or not you want to cut the umbilical cord. I know in my scenario, it's something I definitely wanted to do. And keep in mind, if you do it, that it's not just a real quick snip. It does take a little finessing, but you do have that ability to do it if you want to do it. Now that the baby's here and that you've made all the decisions you're going to make on whether or not you're going to see the baby being born, or if you're going to be by your wife's side and not witness the birth of the baby, or whether or not you're going to snip the umbilical cord, but the baby is now here, baby's laying on the mother's chest, how do you feel? How do you feel as a man? What are the thoughts that go through a man's head the moment that you're right next to your baby, the baby's on the mother's chest? And I know that it varies from man to man. I know for my situation, it was a whole mix of feelings. One, I was extremely happy. I was overwhelmed with all of this joy that I've never experienced in my life. I also had this fear of making sure I was going to be the best dad that I could possibly be for my daughter. There's a lot of mental things that are going on in my head at that moment. Look, in general, it's an overwhelming experience to be going through something like this. And it's okay if you don't have that immediate attachment. I know plenty of men that don't. I was very fortunate that I did. So I say this to let you guys know. If you are feeling bad about it, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't start internalizing everything and start thinking about, am I gonna be okay? Am I gonna be a good dad? Because yes, you are gonna be a good dad. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna get through this feeling. So now that you and your partner have done skin to skin, well, at least your wife has done skin to skin, and you have the option of doing skin to skin, and I highly recommend that you do it as a dad. It's a a great bonding experience, and it's one that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. It's funny because I do have video of me doing it. I was holding my daughter, and to me at the time it was just such a fragile thing that I was holding, and our daughter was on the smaller side, so I remember holding her and just seeing her in my arms. My heart melted. During the 1 to 2 days after the baby's born that you're there in the hospital, there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot that's going on. And you got to make sure that as a man and as a new dad that you're there and you're supportive of everything that's happening. You got the baby that you got to keep alive. You're constantly changing diapers. You're making sure that she's in the swaddle the correct way, or you're working with the nurses to make sure you know how to swaddle. You're also making sure that your partner or your wife is okay. In my scenario, I had to check on my wife because there was a lot that she had to go through delivering the baby. Not only is she going through what she's going through, but she also is taking care of the baby. So there's so much that's happening in that very moment, not to mention that they're trying to get you out of the hospital. There's a lot of things that you need to learn in the process to be able to make sure that you go home and you know what to do with this new human being that's now part of your life. So now you're ready to go home, and that's where the real fun begins. It starts by getting him in the car seat, which I'm sure you're going to be an expert at. I laugh because the car seat is something I had no clue on what to do. So I had to have somebody at the hospital show me exactly how to set my baby properly in the car seat so that way she was safe and that I could get her home safely. I would suggest trying to figure that out beforehand. So as we get the baby in the car seat, we get in that car, and then that's when the nerves happen. I'm liable for this baby and my wife, and I got to make sure that I get them home safely from the hospital. And my God, that was an experience. I mean, I remember just getting on the freeway and just driving so slow. I wasn't driving under the speed limit, but I was just right at the speed limit. But we made it home safely. So then when you get home, you bring the baby in the house. Now the real fun starts. What do we do now? I remember my wife and I just looked at each other and we were just amazed that we have a baby, number one, and then number two, now what? They don't give you a handbook at the hospital that says, this is what you need to do the moment you get home with the baby. And for us, we got home and thankfully our baby was asleep. She slept for another 2 hours when she was home, so it allowed us to unpack, shower, get things ready, and then we stared at the baby. And that was hilarious because we didn't know what to do next except stare at her. And so we stared at her for quite some time, and then she started crying. So she woke up, and we did what we naturally did at the hospital and what we were taught. Let's feed the baby. Let's check the baby and see if she has a poopy diaper or she needs a diaper change. And then it just became this routine on how we would handle the baby. When they're young, the babies tend to eat, sleep, and poop and pee. And that's really all that they do. But it's really just understanding their system and how they work, and it's really all about them. But for women, when they get up and they breastfeed, I would pride myself in getting up and making sure that I had the diaper change, or if she had, spit up or she needed to be cleaned up, I was doing that work, because that was something that could help my wife so she could literally breastfeed and then be done with it and put the baby back down. All right, so now that you're home and now that you're taking care of the baby and you've been doing it for a few nights, maybe a few weeks, I want to be real with you guys and talk to you about postpartum depression, especially with men. A lot of times men may feel like they can't talk about their feelings because they didn't go through 9 months of carrying a baby and delivering a baby. And, the man is supposed to be there and be strong for the woman. But it is good to talk about the feelings and express those feelings instead of keeping them inside, because men go through a lot of things too. And I know for me, I won't say that I had postpartum depression. I will say that I did have some anxiety and I did have some feelings that were overwhelming for me. And I think it had to do with my baby crying and me not being able to solve that puzzle or being able to figure out why she's crying, because I'm still learning. We're 2 months in. But my wife sent me this poem, and I don't know the poem word for word, but it was basically a message about the daughter talking to the mom or the dad. And the message was, look, I'm small and I'm doing what I can, and just know that I need you more than anything. And when I cry, it's because I can't speak. It's me talking to you because I need your help and I need, for you to do this. And that message, our baby needs us and needs my help. It really helped me get through that process of those feelings I were having about, the frustrations of being able to understand my baby's cues and why she's crying, and not feeling that whole depression feeling I was having. Initially, I had this feeling I wasn't being a good dad because every time I would hold my daughter, I just couldn't get her to stop crying. She would stop crying at some point, but she was really squirmy and fussy and just wanted out of my hands and wanted to go see mom and go breastfeed. This might be something that a lot of fathers experience, maybe the same experience that I went through. They may feel like they can't talk about it, and they may feel like they're crazy if they do talk about it, but talking about it is something that will help any man that's going through postpartum depression or any feeling that he may have. It's good to share these feelings with your partner. So all you men out there, make sure you use a support system. Make sure that you have somebody that you can talk to, that you can speak to, whether you be your partner, your family. Make sure that you can at least express your feelings. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it shed some insight on what to expect as a man. You know, I'm new to this. My baby's 2 months into it, and I'm still learning as I go. But for the men in particular, I hope this video was enjoyable. Let those feelings out, man. It's stressful. It's stressful to keep them in. Having said all that, if you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button or at least give us a thumbs up. My wife and I will continue to put out videos, talk about our journey with our baby. So I hope you enjoy.